The crossroads. The road was empty at midnight, not just quiet, but void silent in a way that seemed intentional. The moon hung pale and brittle over the cracked asphalt of Highway 43, slicing through a stretch of Mississippi countryside where time felt like it had stopped moving forward decades ago. Miles from the nearest town, under the watch of dying trees and telephone poles with no wires, sat the old crossroads. No lights, no sounds, no life. Jeremy had heard about it for years. Ever since he was 12, his grandmother used to warn him, "Don't you ever go where the roads meet after dark? That's where folks vanish. That's where the devil waits for your asking." She'd say it like it was something she saw herself, something too real to be superstition. Now at 29, broke and desperate, Jeremy stood on the very patch of dirt she'd warned him about. He hadn't come out of curiosity. He'd come with intent. A guitar case rested beside him on the gravel. He lit a cigarette with a shaking hand, the flame from the lighter illuminating the dark hollows of his face. He looked worn out, like someone who had chased a dream too long without catching it. Rejections piled high behind him, and dead-end jobs lined the path he never meant to walk. He wanted to play music. He needed to, but no one listened. Now he stood with a photograph, one taken the night he first played live at a bar called Molly's Den. A rare smile cracked across his lips in the picture. The crowd was clapping. For a moment, he'd mattered. He dug a shallow hole right in the center of the intersection. Dirt was dry and loose like ash. He placed the photo in and covered it, pressing the soil down with his palm. Then he waited. Midnight tickled. He glanced over his shoulder. Nothing. Another minute passed. Still nothing. He laughed bitterly, tossing the cigarette to the ground. "Figures. Can't even sell my damn soul right." A breeze rolled in, colder than it should have been for June. Jeremy shivered. A low hum buzzed in the back of his skull, the kind that made your teeth feel strange. Then the wind stopped completely. Not faded, stopped. The trees stood still as statues. The air thickened, humid and heavy, like someone had turned a world's breath off. A voice slithered from behind him. "You sure about this, son?" Jeremy spun, startled. A tall man in a black suit stood at the edge of the intersection. No car, no sound. Just there. His skin was dark as soot, but his eyes were pale gray like smoke in reverse. The man grinned with teeth too white, too many. Jeremy swallowed. "You're him? That depends. What is it you think I am? You make deals, right? At the crossroads? I don't make anything. You offer, I provide. Fair trade." "I want to be heard," Jeremy said. "Famous. My music. I want the world to know it. Is that all?" He nodded. The man's smile widened. "Then it's done." Jeremy blinked. "That's it? Deals don't take long when payment is certain. What do you?" But the man was already gone. One blink, and there was only darkness where he'd stood. The wind returned, slow at first, then growing into a howl that seemed to circle him. Jeremy felt dizzy. His vision rippled like a pebble had been thrown into it. He stumbled to his knees. Then silence. And then a sound. Music. His music. It was faint at first, carried on the wind like a radio playing in the next room. But it was unmistakable, his voice, his guitar. He turned in circles, confused. Where was it coming from? His phone buzzed in his pocket. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice screamed. Not words, just a raw, soul-tearing scream that made him drop the phone. It hit the gravel and went dead. Jeremy stood frozen. Then headlights rounded a distant bend. A car came speeding down the road and screeched to a stop beside him. The passenger window rolled down. A man stuck his head out. "Holy shit, it's really you. Jeremy Kane, right?" Yeah? I heard your song, man. Blew my mind. It's everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. You're going viral like crazy. Get in. We'll get you to town." Jeremy hesitated. He got in. The next few days were a blur. Studio invites, interviews. Social media blew up with his name. Even major labels called. By the end of the week, he was signed. 2 weeks later, his album had 3 million streams, but something was wrong. It started small. A man watching him from across the street every time he left his hotel. Same figure, pale gray eyes. Sometimes he'd hear footsteps behind him, but when he turned, the sidewalk would be empty. During a radio interview, the mic cut out, and when it came back, everyone looked at him with a strange silence. He asked what happened. "You said something," the host muttered. "I was just talking about my songwriting process." "No, you said something else. In another language." Jeremy laughed. "You're messing with me." But the host's eyes didn't waver. Later, he found audio of the moment, played it back. He didn't recognize the voice. It wasn't his. Low, guttural, like a growl forced into syllables. And the words, he looked them up, some ancient dialect, dead for centuries. Roughly translated, blood for song, bone for stage. He stopped sleeping. Every night he heard tapping, always from the windows, always the same rhythm, like someone drumming fingers against glass. It followed him hotel to hotel. Then came the dreams. He'd be back at the crossroads, but the ground would bleed beneath him. The trees would twist and moan like they were trying to scream, and he'd see himself on stage, smiling, adored, while something with gray eyes wore his skin like a costume. It moved wrong, smiled wrong. Every time he woke up, a note would be waiting beside his bed. "You're doing great, Jeremy. Almost time." He tried to quit music, stopped recording, refused interviews. Didn't matter. New tracks kept appearing online under his name, songs he didn't remember writing or performing. But they were his voice, his guitar style. Every lyric familiar and alien at once. He sued the label. Lost. They showed him contracts with his signature. He didn't remember signing them. A month later, the death started. First, the radio host found in his apartment, mouth torn open like he'd been trying to scream but couldn't. No signs of a break-in. The police called it suicide. Then the producer who first signed him died during a live panel. Eyes rolled back, mouth gushing blood. A fan video captured the moment. Right before the collapse, the producer looked straight into the camera and mouthed one word: "Run." Jeremy couldn't anymore. He returned to the crossroads. The same gravel, same dirt, same eerie stillness. He stood in the center and shouted, "I want out!" Nothing. "Take it back." Still nothing. He dropped to his knees. "Please. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was giving up." Silence, stretched. Then the voice behind him again. "You knew enough to dig." Jeremy turned. The gray-eyed man stood with that too-white grin. But now his suit was covered in ash. His shadow stretched unnaturally long, curling along the ground like smoke with hands. "I'll trade," Jeremy said. "Anything else. Just not this, not me. There is no else." "You traded being forgotten for being eternal?" Jeremy's voice cracked. "Then kill me. End it." "Oh, Jeremy, you'll wish I had." The figure raised a hand, and Jeremy screamed. The world flipped, colors inverted. The crossroads peeled back like a skin being pulled off reality. He fell through it, down into something hollow and pulsing, where music echoed endlessly, but it was always his music, looping like a prayer turned curse. He woke up in a place that looked like the world but wasn't. It was off. Wrong sky, wrong stars. No one met his eyes. Everyone smiled too wide. Familiar faces, all staring. Then he saw himself on stage, performing, only it wasn't him anymore. He was in the crowd, screaming. No one could hear. He's still screaming. Every time you hear his voice on a track, that's not him anymore. It's the thing that came when the photo was buried. So next time you stand at a crossroads, midnight wind on your neck, dirt soft under your boots, ask yourself, what are you really willing to give up to be heard? And who's really doing the listening? And remember, like and subscribe.